Good morning and welcome back to the One that Celtic fans view this morning. Has Brendan Rodgers lost his spark? Has Brendan Rodgers lost the spark for the running? If you remember last year, the run into the end of the season, Brendan Rodgers and the team went on a fine and fantastic run. He managed to motivate the players, something that doesn't seem to be happening this year. There is some good news as far as Celtic are concerned. There's some good news, there's some bad news, and there's some ongoing situations. We'll talk about the fact that Callum McGregor didn't play at the weekend, and it has been an ongoing issue over the years. Brendan Rodgers does need to learn from the fact that Callum McGregor seems to have this injury with his calf. Brendan Rodgers said that Callum, we give him every chance to make it. He felt a tightness the day before. He couldn't really function how he would normally. Some people will say that he's been playing like that all season. Otherwise, he would have played. Now, we all thought that Austin Trusty's wife went into labour. Not according to Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers said likewise, Austin felt a soreness in his calf. He tried to give it a go, but just wasn't fit enough to play the game. He wasn't fit enough to play the game. He went on to say, you need to change the personnel. We know how we can play. Luke McCowan comes in, Arne Engels comes back, and Mark Norowski is another one who's been unfortunate, Brendan Rodgers said. He said he'd have three centre-halves in front of him and he hasn't had many chances to play this season. Celtic, on the other hand, are in for a bit of a windfall. Yes, a windfall that's been in the making for several years. Celtic are going to have another £10 million windfall this summer from a player that's being sold. Jeremy Frimpong, yes, remember him? He moved from Celtic a good few years ago now. The transfer guru that is Fabrizio Romano says that Frimpong remains one to watch this summer. One more goal and assist performance on Sunday. The Dutch right back could be leaving Leverkusen this summer, with many clubs interested, including some of the big clubs down south in England. There is a clause in his contract worth a fee of around £40 million, and as soon as that £40 million is met, he will be on the move, and Celtic have got a big massive chunk of that £10 million that was written into the contract clause when he left. So the board members will be sitting happy this morning saying there's another £10 million coming into the coffers at Celtic Park. Right, let's get on to it, I suppose, isn't we? This situation that happened before the game yesterday led to the Green Brigade putting out a statement, and the statement reads as follows. Yesterday, there was a premeditated attack on football supporters by the Police Scotland. We believe their actions were unlawful and they are currently taking legal advice. On what happened. It'll be interesting to see the outcome of that. It's a stark warning to all supporters in Scotland and anyone who values civil liberties. At 10 a.m, the Green Brigades and other Celtic supporters congregated at Celtic Social Club, which is routine practice every single game, and especially on derby games. At this time, there was a considerable police presence. At no point was there any attempt from police officers to relay information about concerns or expectations of how fans should move to the stadium. Similarly, there was no attempt to share information and advice through mutual channels. Celtic Football Club is often the case. At 10:45, we attempted to depart from the stadium. At this point, around 200 people were kettled on the road. They were told they were being held until all the away supporters had entered the stadium. And then we moved along. After around about an hour, police informed us that we had been detained under the section of the Public Order Act. The reason given that the people were concealing their identities, despite the fact that most people were not wearing masks. When this was pointed out, the concerned people moved their masks to hats or hoods and sunglasses. We offered to remove these items also, but this was not accepted by Police Scotland. It goes on to say on page 2 of the statement That's going to say, in order to leave the police kettle, the following was expected of all individuals, including young children. Submit to police detention, being held by 2 officers by the arms, taken from the kettle into a further police cordon. Submit to a full body search, including a refusal to privacy for females. Give full personal details. Show ID to identify yourself. Have hats, sunglasses, scarves, snoods confiscated. All of the above actions filmed, including ID documents and clothing. Understandably, it's a bit Stasi-like, isn't it? It's a bit draconian. And is this the modern era that we're moving into as football fans? Understandably, we were reluctant to comply with these draconian and unnecessary measures. They were therefore detained in the kettle for almost 5 hours with no access to food, water or toilets, and missed the entire match. In the end, 0 arrests were made, despite the huge sums of public money wasted on the operation. We have since learned through Police Scotland press release that every person has been reported to the Procurator Fiscal, despite this not being informed to us at the time. While we are clearly angry at what happened, we are more concerned about the pattern of repression against supporters, which is increasingly worsened across Scottish football. There are concerns that the effort between police, clubs, football clubs, authorities and others who seek to control the game to abolish supporter groups who do not conform to their agendas or values. It's not going to go away this anytime soon, is it? It goes on to say on page 3 of the statement, it's no coincidence that police operation followed sanctions by Celtic plc against the same people in the same week. Likewise, it's no coincidence that Celtic plc fills its safety and security department with ex-police. In recent weeks, the SPFL will approve, with the approval of clubs, introduced an unprecedented collective with punishments and sanctions against supporters. Scottish football has committed passionate, creative and overwhelmingly positive supporters and cultures. Instead of embracing this, it is routinely targeted and often leading to mainly young males being unnecessarily and harshly criminalised. Strangely, yesterday's incident was exactly 12 years since the infamous Gallagate kettle, which sparked mass demonstrations, ignited a successful Fans Against Criminalisation campaign. In light of the recent events, we are calling for a formal review of fan engagement in Scottish football, with a review to implementing a formal framework for fan engagement at both central and club level. It's through proper two-way engagement with supporters that supporters concerned and concerns can be efficiently managed. We will begin consulting and coordinating with the interested supporters in Scotland on how to achieve this. And then the final page of the statement before we go on to Celtic's reply. The final page does go on to say, to be clear, our concerns are not limited to the practices often associated with ultras, but with all and any supporter issues. All supporters have the right to be heard. It's only through a formal framework that this can be achieved and ultimately lead to supporters' common wishes being respected and interests protected. We would like it to be noted that the Celtic SLO, John Paul Taylor, the fans liaison officer, spent a considerable time at the incident while attempting to liaise and help supporters, and has given his report to what happened to Michael Nicholson, the CEO of Celtic. We await comment from Michael Nicholson on both the club's prior knowledge of this operation and its concern for Celtic supporters' welfare until the last rebel, is the Green Brigade statement. The Celtic statement put out last night, 6 minutes past 7, went on to say the following. Celtic Football Club has received complaints regarding policing operation concerns yesterday's match, specifically events away from Celtic Park. We are reviewing our supporters' concerns and we'll be looking into these issues. It is important that these matters are addressed, and the club will be engaging in discussions with supporters and Police Scotland to understand the circumstances of the events. With regards to the match at Celtic Park, we can also confirm that the club has raised concerns regarding members of the away team engaging with Celtic supporters with the relevant authorities. This is something that players are warned against, and especially in a game like this. People say it may cause the riot. Anyway, on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.